Facebook, I think, right? There's some people out there that are interested in this trip, so it's great. Hear the story of the American. He went to England, and he's on a tour bus and they're going around, and came to different spots, and so the tour guide would say, you know, this and that and so forth and so on. And she finally came to where the Magna Carta was signed, and the American, who happened to be Texan, said, and when was that, ma'am? And she said, 1215. He goes, oh shucks, we just missed it. And I think sometimes when Americans go overseas, they don't have a real good perception of how old history is, and how things are a lot older than since 1776. But we're going to the Holy Land. It's going to be an incredible opportunity. And we just want to, I've got some introductory comments, and then we're going to talk about the tour specifics, little housekeeping, and then question and answer. You can ask that during the time. What's the purpose of the trip? Obviously, it's educational, but what you're going to find also is a great time of fellowship, and you're going to make friends that will be friends for a long, long time, forever. One of the things I tell people when I say it's educational is, when you read the Bible, it's like black and white. But when you read the Bible after you've been to the Holy Land, it's in color. Because you say, you can see pictures. I show you pictures up on the screen, but when you're there, it's different. And when you read it, you go, oh yeah, now I can picture that because I was there. And so it's an incredible opportunity, a great trip. How many of you have been there before? Okay, good. So that's great. This is Rhea.
Hi, Rhea.
And this is Leslie. And they're a key part to all of this. Basically, when you go on a tour, if you haven't been on a tour, you have what I call, like in sports, you have a color commentator, and then you have a play-by-play game. Okay? Sorry, the sports. Play-by-play is the guys going, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. A color commentator is, well, this person had COVID the other day, but now he's doing a lot better. Okay, they add color to what's going on. And that's the same with this. You're going to have a play-by-play guy, and that's the guide. Okay, and I think we've had previous guys. Yeah, they had them last time we went. And then the color commentator is, there are going to be some times where Ray and I will do some devotions. Okay, so kind of adding the color commentator to it. So that's what we'll be doing. Rhea's been, is it 5 times? Okay, 5 times. And Leslie's been three times, okay? So these guys are veterans. Yeah, lost track, unfortunately. But so this is really good because Leslie, in her spare time, does travel agency work, so she's a travel agent, and so she's invaluable when we're on these trips. Not only setting it up, but also while we're there, it's important to have somebody who can be a liaison between the agency on the ground and so forth. So Leslie does a great job. And you all want to miss Rhea's devotionals. She does a great job. What's your favorite place to do a devotional? Full Bethesda. Yeah. Okay. All right.
She did that last time with that, and that was really
Full Salem.
Yeah. I missed that. What's your favorite?
Probably full of Ceylon. Yeah.
So what I thought we'd do now is, everybody got a brochure?
Yeah.
Okay. And by the way, this trip, by the way, is sponsored by Snowdrop Ministries. It's not a Grace Church trip, but what we do is, Snowdrop Ministries, that's Rhea's ministry, she opens it up to all kinds of people to come on it. And so people from her Bible Center will be coming. When she goes on the road, she talks to people about it. They'll be coming from all over different parts of the country. And so we're opening up, obviously, to Grace as well. So,
Let me just ask you.
yeah.
People have also asked about Leslie being a travel agent. You need to know that she's not making any money on this trip. And she's doing that so that you can get the cheapest possible trip. Years ago, we went with another travel agency, and probably, 10 years ago, and the price was more than this 10 years ago. And it's because Leslie is passing on her travel agent, she's not looking to make any money. People said, well, is that a conflict of interest because Leslie is, no, Leslie is blessing you. She's blessing you by giving you the cheapest price possible, and she searches high and low for the best deal there.
We love you,
It's a spiritual
Leslie.
gift.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
Thank
do
you.
do that.
It is a gift of administration. So before we look at the different parts of where we're going, we'll start off with this little story. This guy by the name of Vance Havner, he's since passed away at home with the Lord, but he's a hilarious speaker, but he's a great preacher of the word, but he could be a stand-up comedian. I remember seeing him live and in person, and he was just hilarious. But anyhow, he went to the Middle East on one occasion, and he was slumped down on a couch in Jerusalem, and came up to him and said, "Are you all right, Mr. Havner?" He says, "Yes, I'm fine." He said, "Well, what did you do today, Dr. Havner?" He says, "Today I ran where Jesus walked." Today I ran where Jesus walked. And you're going to experience the same thing. We want to tell you that up front, because some people say, well, can we stay here a little longer? And the answer is yes, but then we'd miss out on everything else. We're there, we want to make the best use of our time. When we looked at this plan, first off, they had us coming in and then staying at the hotel in Tel Aviv. And I said, we're wasting a whole day. Let's get on the road right away. We hit the road running. So we don't want to waste any time. And so what you'll see with this schedule is it's extremely packed, but we want you to see as much as we can. And we'll also have a little time, a little R&R time. What happens in Israel is on the Sabbath, everything shuts down pretty much, except certain places like Bethlehem because it's an Arab town and so forth. But everything shuts down. Stores shut down. Everything shuts down. So we had to weave in a different a place where we could, when everything is shut down, where we could just kind of do the best we could with everything being shut down. And we'll talk about that in a second. All right, so day one, we fly to Israel. It's going to take a whole day. Yes, it is.
So we'll know, the flight leaves at 11:30 out of Chicago, and then it's going to stop in Newark on the way out.
11:30 a.m.?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then last time we flew out of Newark, which the downside of that is most of us are from Chicago. And so this allows us not to even have to, we can pick up people. So if somebody's coming, we have somebody from Ohio that wants to come, they can either come to Chicago or they can fly to Newark and connect. But the majority of us are from Chicago. So we just will leave right out of Chicago, connect in Newark on the way out, and then we're there by 10 in the morning, which is amazing, on the next day. And then the return is a nonstop, which is gonna be even better, so.
Do we find our own transportation to Chicago?
Well, once we get to that point and we see how many people we have, I can look at transportation options. So we'll definitely work with that, probably at the beginning of the year.
Good question. Yeah, now, if you've never flown overseas before, this is where it can get a little tricky. It's something called jet lag. And what I recommend, if you look at the timing, it's going to say, wait a minute, we're leaving 11 a.m. and we arrive at 10:30 a.m. We lost a whole night. Yeah, you did. And so the trick is very simple. You have to get sleep on the plane over. If you can do that, then when you land at 10:30, not sleep until the nighttime, you're good to go. If you start napping during the day, you're gonna miss stuff, number one, but number two, you're gonna get all out of whack. So get as much sleep as you can on the plane is the trick there.
The other thing that we should probably point out is we're hearing that the passports are backed up about 9 months.
Oh, no.
So if you need a passport, make sure that you're applying now. You have to have at least 6 months. Your expiration date on your passport has to be good for at least 6 months.
After we return.
After you get back.
Yeah.
And so you check your passports when you go home today, because we're hearing it's about a 9-month wait
Yeah.
for passports, because everybody, because of all this going on in the world, people are scrambling to get passports. So make sure you have a passport and that it's up to date.
I think you can expedite passports too.
You
go to
can.
You
Chicago.
can pay a little, or you
drive
can go
down.
to
You
Chicago.
can pay, yeah, you can pay to expedite passports, but if you do it now, I feel like they'll be fine.
Okay, so we land on the ground in Tel Aviv, and as I said, we're not gonna be resting on our laurels, we're gonna take off. Basically, if you look at it as a big loop around Israel. We'll start on the western side, go to the north and back down to the south, and then over to Jerusalem and then back to Tel Aviv, so it's a big loop. So we land in Tel Aviv, and we set off and we go from there to Caesarea, which we talked about today. We're going to look, then go up to Mount Carmel on our way up to the hotel, and we'll get there that evening. And then the next day is Nazareth, Megiddo, Armageddon, Megiddo. There's some controversy related to that, but it's an interesting place. And Nazareth, I think, Maria, tell me about Nazareth.
Nazareth will go into a little village that they have set up, and the first time we went, I was like, oh, this is gonna be tacky. It was probably one of my favorite places on the trip. They have it set up so that you can see how a wine press works. What else?
Just their whole house, they have a house set up, you can see what they would be doing in the house, like a typical family. They had the
What it looked like in
olive press,
Jesus'
it was
time when
just
he would have been
really-
born.
yeah.
It's pretty fascinating, didn't you think?
I
you
did.
went there? Yeah.
No, it was just, we did this
It was
last
just us,
May.
yeah.
Nobody, you guys did not see it.
No, we drove past it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we're
it's-
actually
and
gonna
it's-
go to it.
And it's
fun.
an Arab, was it Arab?
I don't
At
think
that
so.
point in time, when we went in 17, there was very few Jews that were living in Nazareth. It was predominantly an Arab population.
Which is probably why we didn't stop.
Yeah,
Well, it's open
maybe.
now, and it's well worth,
Mhm.
it's well worth it. We learned a lot.
So Nazareth, and then we get a boat ride on the Sea of Galilee, which is great.
It's really cool.
But when you go to Israel, there's certain, what you'll see is that there's churches over different sites. And we owe that pretty much to Constantine's mother back in the 300s. Because what she did, she went around and talked to people, find out where the traditional spots were, and then she put a church over it. And people go, oh, this is crazy, it's destroyed it. Well, actually, it kept it, because there was a church over that site. So a lot of these places are tradition, but there's some places that are extremely authentic. Sea of Galilee, can't get any more authentic than that, right? Okay, Jesus actually was on the sea. So we'll have a boat ride, we'll stop in the middle and a little devotional in the middle.
What about the museum?
Yes, that's coming up.
That's not the same day,
So,
though.
okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a different day.
Okay, so then we go Galilee sightseeing, and different places you can see here. We go north of Galilee to Caesarea Philippi, which is in the north, and also to Dan. That's one of Maria's favorite places. We'll have a St. Peter's fish lunch if you want to. The unique thing about that is they give you the whole fish, including the eye and everything.
Can't get chicken, I think, too.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't want, or you can get it with the bone in or bone out, like, so they make it easy for you.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
Okay, then we drive to Capernaum. This is one of my favorite spots, Capernaum. We're talking about, authentic places. In Capernaum, there's only one synagogue in Capernaum in Jesus' time. They know where the one synagogue is. And they've dug down below the pavement of the existing pavement to the pavement of Jesus' time. So you know that Jesus was in that synagogue, possibly on that pavement. So it's cool. And then just a little ways from there is Peter's mother-in-law's house. And this is one of my favorite things too. It looks like they put a flying saucer over the top. But if you go in the flying saucer and look down, you'll see foundations below of Peter's house, mother-in-law's house, and then around it another foundation because they put a church on top of it, and then another foundation. So it's really interesting.
And Cindy, just since you've been there last, they excavated more stuff in that area, so it'll be
That
fascinating for you to see some
That
stuff.
that was probably one of my most favorites.
Yeah, we'll wait till you see it now.
I call him Diane. Sorry.
Diane's hair is a little different color, but
Yeah.
she's a nice person too.
And that was very cool because of, to be able to see the size of, we're used to our houses, and to see the size of the house that the whole family lived in was amazing.
And I think it was there also, it's like, Jesus went there
You
to
know he
visit,
was
you
there.
know he was there, and then to be reminded, because he was not of the household, he slept in the room with the children. And to see all that limited space, but say, it's like, okay, he was, it's,
Because you can see the rooms, how they're divided out.
yeah.
So, and then we go up to Mount of Beatitudes, or where they think the Mount of Beatitudes is on. Just a beautiful area, the Sea of Galilee. We go to Magdala, another one of his favorite places. And then, I think some of the, I don't know if it's this day or the day before, we go to the museum where they found a ship, a boat. And the unique thing about it is the Sea of Galilee went low, and we found some wood sticking up and dug out a boat. Unbelievable restoration. And they had this boat sitting in there. Well, the things from Jesus' time, who knows, it could have been what Jesus wrote on. But it gives you an idea of what a fishing boat was like for Peter. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. And so, Galilee and the Dead Sea. So we'll leave Galilee and we start heading south. We'll go. This is kind of a long trip. Just be aware of that. And so as we head south, we'll come to where the traditional baptism place is. There's different baptism places along the way, and you'll have an opportunity to be baptized. And so we can talk about that on the trip too. We'll probably have a little class or something like that along those lines. So we go along kind of the Jordanian border as we go down to that. Now, as you can see in day 5, this is the Jewish Sabbath. And so Friday evening, everything shuts down. Also, you'll be able to swim in the Dead Sea because we're staying at a hotel on the Dead Sea.
Beautiful.
That was, I think, our most fun part, because we didn't do that with our tour that we took last time, but we added it on this tour
We
because.
never have stayed at the
Yeah.
Dead Sea.
And it was so much fun, and it was the same thing, we got there, like you just said, it was the night of the Sabbath, so we got our rooms, our rooms weren't quite ready, so we just played, they were like, just go swimming, and then when you get back, your rooms will be ready, and so even in the morning, there was a little bit of time where people could go out and walk on the, on the sand and the water, it was really beautiful, so I think that was what, we loved that, that was one of our favorite.
And those mountains are beautiful.
Swimming is not the term you use.
Floating, floating.
Float.
No, it's bobbing.
Yeah, floating.
You don't want to get your head.
And don't take your camera in there either, because somebody lost the camera that way, so.
And guys, don't shave. Or, yeah, if you shave, your face is gonna burn. It's like being yourself in the salt bath.
Be very selective if you wear shoes in, because the glue will dissolve. On the bottom, I had it on a pair of one
So
of my
if
sandals.
you want to go swimming, you
Water
can.
shoes.
It's fun too, it's fun.
But it's a beautiful experience, and
Yeah, you want to experience like
It's like a
that.
spa.
Okay. Then day 6 is in Getty, and I think Masad is in this too. And Qumran. And Getty is where David hid from Saul. It's all wilderness around, just desert. There's a beautiful spot called Engedi, and we hiked up to there's like 3 waterfalls. It's incredible. And so it's like this oasis in the middle of it. And hopefully we can hike up again. And it's just incredible. So you can hike all the way around. And then you go to Masada. That's, there's nothing. Was that the day before? Okay, when we get there. Masada is basically a Jewish time. It's really no biblical significance to it. But it's very important to the Jews because that's the last stand of the Jewish revolt against the Romans in 70-something AD. And they'll tell you the story and so forth, but we'll be there the day before. Then En-Gedi, and then Qumran is where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. Okay, so we'll go around that. And then we go up. It's about 3,000 feet because remember you're the lowest point on earth to Jerusalem, which is in the mountains. Right? They get snow in Jerusalem. People don't realize that. By the way, the temperatures are going to be when are we going? May. It's going to be hot. Galilee is going to be very warm. I was very surprised by that. Of course, down by the Dead Sea is blistering. But Jerusalem is comfortable because it's higher up. So we get to Jerusalem, and we'll spend the next, the rest of the time there. It looks like 4 days in Jerusalem. And there's so much to talk about. You just have to read through about where we're going to be going. But some of the high points to me are the last day we're going to be going to Golgotha and also the Garden Tomb. Do you remember, I think I mentioned this before, there are two places where they say Jesus was crucified and rose from the dead. One is Church of the Holy Sepulchre. It's the traditional place. It's a church. It's very dark. You go inside, they'll show you a rock that's in there where they say that's Golgotha, and another place where the tomb was crucified. The second place is what we'll see on the last day. Is incredible. They'll take you to a place, it's not cropping, it looks like a skull, the place of the skull. And then right by it is a beautiful garden. So we'll have communion in there, there's a tomb in there, and it'll give you, I think, a real sense of a picture for how it might have been. So they go back and forth as to what's legitimate and what isn't. We'll go down the rabbinic tunnels. That was fascinating to me. Rhea, if you're claustrophobic.
Oh,
Yeah, but you did.
I did it the second time, it was a little bit easier,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's, the Wailing Wall. That's the western wall of the Temple Mount. The Temple Mount, it's a mound underneath. It's Mount Moriah where Abraham sacrificed Isaac. Everything's on top of everything. Okay, so then they put the temple on top of that. But to make it so it's flat, they had to build this retaining walls to fill it all in so it would be flat so they could put the temple on top. Well, the temple's not there, the Dome of the Rock is there. But the retaining wall, which is called the Western Wall, is still there. And that's where the Jews go to pray, at the Western retaining wall, not the temple itself, the retaining wall to the temple. And what they've done is they've dug along that wall a tunnel, and you see these incredible, massive stones that are part of the retaining wall for the temple. And so that's kind of fun to see that. We go through Hezekiah's tunnel, I believe that's part of it.
That's a different.
Yeah, that's a different tunnel,
Yeah.
than the rabbinic tunnel.
We didn't do that last time.
Yeah. So, all kinds of different places. We'll go to a model of the city of Jerusalem that's, I don't know, probably an acre in size. It's an incredible model that they put together, and it kind of gives you an idea what the city of Jerusalem was like in Jesus' time. Go down the Via Dolorosa, the way of the cross, and stopping at some of the stations. Look at the pavement and the Antonia Fortress. There's just an incredible amount of things. It looks like we'll also take a trip to Bethlehem in the midst of all of this too. Bethlehem's not very far away. You have to go through the wall to get there, which is an experience because that is Palestinian territory. But you'll go to the Church of the Nativity and Shepherd's Fields.
I don't know if that's how it will be this time, but every other time we've been, our Jewish guide has to get off the bus, and an Arab guide has to get on to go into Bethlehem. So that's where we sold off, I think, for the backpack. So, yeah,
no,
it's-
that was in
That was in
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem.
That was between the temple and,
Oh, we didn't go to
the Mount-
Bethlehem, did we? No,
yes, we did.
Did we?
Yeah.
We didn't go to that.
but that day, because the garden
Oh, that's right.
was over here and the temple's here, and it was around the bend.
Yeah.
We were just,
It's
Dave was
fascinating
saying that
to see
before you came in, we were,
That's a whole other story. Okay.
it's a
So,
very safe
It is
place.
very
Yeah.
safe.
Safest place on earth. Seriously.
okay, and as there's so much here, I don't know where to start. Pool of Shalom, I believe it is.
So,
Shalom, going up to the steps, and they dug that out just fairly recently.
sounds good.
Up to the temple itself from the top, Pool of Shalom. Caiaphas's house, visit there, the upper room. So,
It's just jam-packed.
yeah,
Well, I really like they have
walk
Are we gonna,
through-
we'll go to
yeah,
that?
okay, possibly.
So they have, they said, for the Lord to come back, there needs to be the, yeah, the candlestick.
Menorah.
Oh, the menorah.
Thank you.
It goes through it goes through all these.
And so they have it already made up. All of those things are already, already completed, beautiful gold.
Ready for the temple.
candlesticks, ready for the new
The
temple.
way you're gonna put the temple.
But it's ready.
The Dome of the
They
Rock's
love
kind of
it.
in that
Yeah.
vicinity.
They have everything,
It's
because I remember
fascinating.
when we were
Yeah.
there, they said within 45 minutes, they could resume worship on the temple.
They have all
That
pieces ready.
everything is ready, and just to be in awe
Yeah.
of their state of readiness, except recognizing the Messiah already came the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they really are thinking they're doing that.
And they have 26,000 priests that have been trained.
Really? See, I didn't know
And they
that.
have
Priests are trained, and they also have the Sanhedrin.
Mhm.
Not at all.
Fascinating.
All the robes, everything is done.
Yeah, you'll get so much in your brain that you won't, like, it's like so much, but every time you go back, I feel like it just solidifies it, but you learn so much, and your Bible will just come alive.
What was your favorite part of the trip to Israel?
This is Don, by the way.
Hi.
I better have.
My favorite part was just all of the history and seeing everything that you hear about. So you see the rocks, you see the temple, you see the Pool of Shalom, you see the City of David, you see Golgotha, you see Caesarea. It kind of puts life to everything that we read about on 2D in print.
2D.
2D, that's good.
Well, it's
He's
2D,
saying
but
it's
it's
3D
3D,
there,
it's real.
yeah.
It makes it
That's a good way
real.
of looking at it.
Yeah.
So, do we have any questions on the itinerary? Do you have any questions on that? Very packed, but,
I noticed that you have meals, breakfast and dinner included.
Yeah, let's-
So everybody needs to bring.
yeah, let's, hold on a second, let's just finish with this. Yeah. Okay, so any questions on that? Okay, this is where I turn it over to Leslie, and she's gonna talk about the cost of it, inclusions, exclusions,
Yep.
and all of that.
Okay, so you guys all have a brochure, and if you are watching online, you can email me for a brochure, or if you don't have one already, and print that out. The price for a two-person room is $39.50 per person. If you do a single room, there's a $900 supplement on that, and that is because it's based on the rooms. It's not based upon the food and everything. You're just paying for that room to have it all to yourself, basically. The airfare is included in that, so your airfare is included, your hotel is included, your breakfast daily is included. We have big, huge breakfast buffets every day and huge dinner buffets. So you basically, I was telling somebody, it's kind of like going to an all-inclusive. You don't have to think, they say, okay, this is what we're doing tomorrow. If you need to bring, when you go to holy sites, the women have to cover their arms and their knees. So the guide or tour guide will say, you need your, what do they call it?
Modesty kit.
Your modesty kit. You need your modesty kit tomorrow, so make sure you pack that in your bag. It's so simple, like you just get on the bus every day, you don't have to think, you just soak it all in and enjoy it. We have an amazing tour guide, that's gonna, like these guys will supplement things, or I don't know if anybody else is gonna ask anybody else, but these guys for sure will be supplementing things. And then the tour guide will give us so much information. We'll give you little ear sets we put in our ears. And then when we get to sites, you can hear in your ear, come over to this location. Because there's so many people typically. I don't know what it will be like next year because of the COVID, but there's typically so many different groups that you need to stick with your group. You need to listen in your earphones. Even on the bus, he'll have you put your earphones on because it's usually a 50-passenger bus. And so you might be sitting way in the back, but that doesn't matter because you can put your little headset on and you can hear everything that he tells you. So you won't miss anything, no matter where you sit on the bus. So you'll have breakfast every day, you'll have dinner every day. You will need to bring, and I think we don't need to exchange money though, ever. We've never done that.
I've never done that.
So they usually take American dollars. If you want to, we'll stop every day for lunch. The fish lunch is included, but outside of that, you pay for your lunches. and you don't have to eat, some people don't eat because they eat a big breakfast and a big dinner. And so that is included, all your entrance fees into anything are included, you don't have to go up and stand in line to get a ticket, you just get off the bus and our guide does everything, and we just follow him like little puppy dogs. And so.
Can I just mention something about that? We're gonna have an orientation meeting for all those who are actually going on the trip. This is just an informational.
Right, right.
And we'll talk about this more, but that probably will be in the spring where we'll have that. But when you talk about money, we just use credit cards. Make sure you tell your credit card company that you're going out of the country so they don't think someone's stolen it. But I also take a whole bunch of $1 bills.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Usually everything's $1. So if you need a bottle of water or something, or a souvenir or whatever, then you can just.
They have water in
send
the
them
bus
$1.
all the time that you can buy from the bus driver for $1, I think.
Yeah.
He always
Yeah.
keeps cold water on the bus, and you're gonna need it.
So credit card and then dollar bills.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that.
So it's basically an all-inclusive trip. The only thing you'd need money for, like I said, is those lunches and then souvenirs, if you wanna buy any souvenirs. But outside of that, your room is included. Can you think of anything else they would need? Anybody else that's been there? Everything is included.
How many different hotels will we be staying at?
We are staying at 3, so we'll stay a couple nights in Galilee, then we go to the Dead Sea, and then we'll end up in Jerusalem. And when we stay in Jerusalem, they haven't booked our hotels yet, so I can't say this is where we're gonna be, and sometimes they change you, but we have a certain,
I'm pretty
we
picky
have a
about the
certain,
hotels
like
we
four,
stay in.
we said 4 stars, so they'll be nice. The ones we stayed at last time were really nice.
Mhm.
This, last time we were a little bit further away from the old city and the shopping area, and so we have asked to be in that area because we did stay there in May and we could walk to everything, which was really, really nice. So we're trying, I have stated that we wanna stay in either that hotel or something in that area. And if we do get that, then we'd be able to walk to the mall, we'd be able to walk to the shopping center, like there's a whole strip of shopping. You can go into, I think you took a taxi, did you not?
Mhm.
Go into the old city one night?
Into the old city and
Yeah.
saw the night display, cause it was Israel's anniversary.
That's right,
It
yeah, I
was
remember that.
multimedia against the city wall,
Uh-huh,
which was just awesome. And then
Yeah.
we also went into the program on David, which is the Bible.
huh.
If you thought Disney knew how to do history and light shows in 3D,
Yeah, so there's a lot to
the
do,
history
like,
of Israel.
so you get so excited, you're exhausted by the end of the day, and you wanna just crash, but there's, like, when you get to Jerusalem, there's things you can do at night. You know, the other areas, you really wouldn't venture out because the hotels are kinda set apart, but in Jerusalem, you can actually venture out a little bit. If we get back early before dinner, you can go walk around, you can go shopping.
Usually we're back by 5 o'clock, have dinner, and then the rest of the day.
Yeah, and dinner's late, dinner's
So
like
you'll be tired.
usually
Mhm.
6 or 7 at night, so it's not an early dinner typically. So you do usually, you'll be exhausted, you wanna sleep, and, we recommend that you sleep, but, you know, you're in Jerusalem, and so you wanna walk around, so we understand that too.
And I just say that's a wonderful time for fellowship.
Uh-huh.
5 of us were acquaintances. Well, 2 groups were friends. And then 5 of us started, and it started in Galilee. And we were sitting outside chatting and then praying, and it grew from the 2 of us to 5. Our patio prayer team still gets together not less than once a month.
So awesome.
And that was in 2017. And just,
That's awesome.
you get to relive those experiences, but then you have a different insight to where people are with the Lord and the relation. It's a lifetime.
That's awesome, yeah, that's awesome. So the $39.50 is all-inclusive of everything. We have a payment plan, you need to fill out, I have applications today if you haven't printed them out, but you need 1 per person. I need each person to fill out an application and then give me a copy of their passport. If you don't have it yet and you have it sent in, that's okay, just let me know that. But you need to fill it out thoroughly, and then it's a $500 per person to reserve a space. We have 40 spots, and she also told me, or I think I wrote it on here, that Israel has not set any guidelines for the tours, and so the earlier that you sign up, the better, because let's say they say a tour bus can only have 30 people, that means the last 10 people are not gonna be able to go unless we can figure something else out, which we would try hard, but we just don't know at this point. So that's why we're gonna book what we've always been able to book, but based on what Israel does, we don't know that for sure yet.
I just sat
Yep.
there and said, we don't like to take more than 40. We used to take, 3 tour buses full, and it's just too many people. And this, you wanna get, this guy, you wanna get quality time with him and pick his brain, but.
Not too much.
Yeah.
She said brain, not hair.
He's like having your own tour guide, but, so I really wanna tell you that if you're interested, there's no pressure, we'll fill up, we'll get the 40 people, we're not worried about that. We're just trying to tell you, because you're the people closest to us, that if you want this, you need to sign up.
Or if you're watching today,
Yeah.
that you need to sign up.
Because it will fill up fast, and we don't know that they're not gonna say you have to go down this road. And so we'll take the first 30 people that have signed up,
And we'll try to make it work. I mean, we're not obviously gonna be like, sorry, you can't come, we're gonna try hard to make this. But hopefully that's not even gonna happen, and this isn't even gonna be an issue. So
Yeah.
she just mentioned it to me, so I wanna put it out there so that no one's disappointed at the end. So the other thing is, we do recommend travel insurance. When Rhea and I went last May, we took travel insurance because, and we will take it again, because it's a big trip, it's an expensive trip. You just don't wanna lose your money, and if you get sick over there, you're not covered. I think Elaine broke her arm, wasn't it? No, she didn't break it.
No, but she had a
Yeah.
chip.
So she had to go to the hospital. So if
Yeah.
you have to go to, she fell. If you fall, if it's just a fluky thing, you're not gonna be covered because you can't use your American insurance. So if you don't have insurance, you're just gonna have to pay out of pocket. And I don't even know how much it was, but, insurance, typically, there's a couple insurances that if you want insurance, you need to let me know and I will give you a price because it's based upon your age. And so I basically just I put in your data into the computer and it brings back a price. So your price might not be this person's price, and it's only because it's based on your age, and purely that and nothing else. If you do not want to have insurance, you don't have to take it, we're just recommending it. You just need to check on the application that you do not want it, because we want you to understand that you've said, I don't want it in case something happens.
And she did have wonderful care.
She did have really good care.
She
The
did.
care there is pretty good. And then
Every
this
trip we
last
went on,
trip we
somebody's
went
gotten
on,
hurt. Yeah.
she did break her wrist and she just fell. It was a fluky, she just walking and she wasn't running.
Pavement is very slippery.
Yeah, it was Pastor Marla's sister and she just, boom, went down and broke her wrist. And so Rio went to the hospital and that was good. Yes. Yeah.
What's
So-
the average cost of insurance?
So I'd say the average cost of it, I gave it to somebody, but I don't know. So what was it?
There was 3 different prices
Right.
you gave us.
You can choose from 3 different plans, but what ranged from?
Went from 500 to 1,000.
Per
two.
person?
So like, no,
For two, yeah.
For two. So it's like anywhere from probably 2 to 250 based on your age is the beginning. If you wanna have it cancel for any reason, and what that means is, if you say, I just don't feel like going in April, and you can say, I don't wanna go, and you'll get 75% of your money back. Typically your insurance, and so that is like an extreme because most people, if they sign up for that, wouldn't want that. Pandemics are not covered under insurance. What they did for this pandemic with all the airlines and the tour companies, they're very, very accommodating. They typically will do that, we just can't 100% guarantee that. And so insurance is really for if you lose your luggage when you're going over, if you get sick, if you, let's say you sign up today and you get sick, or somebody that your parent dies, or your child dies, or somebody is severely hospitalized, sick in the hospital, and you need to be there with them, that's what insurance is for. It covers you and it covers your spouse, if you're with a spouse. I don't necessarily think it would cover you, like if you went with a friend in your room, I don't think your friend would just say, I don't wanna go because you're
Correct.
not going. But she would have insurance, or her room would be, you'd have insurance in your room would be fine. So we do recommend it, but again, that's up to you if you wanna take it. The other thing about the money, we're taking 500 deposit, and then 1725 will be due on December 15th, and another 1725 on March 1st. You can pay it all at once if you want, but you don't have to. We've got those 3, those are based on the monies that I have to get into the airline and to the tour company, which is Gate One. Gate One is the tour company that Ed used, and so we really liked it, and so we're gonna use them as well. If you wanna use a credit card, you can, but there is a 3% charge on that, just because we have to pay them. We're not, we're giving them, we're gonna write them a check, a big check. So, but you can use that, or you can just write a check, and you can either make it out to me at Leslie Hook or Hooked on Travel. So I'm just gonna keep it all in one account, and then just write a check to Big One and to the airline. Anything else that you guys think I'm missing? Make sure that when you fill this out, the reason I need the passport is because, try and match your name to your passport, because when we turn it into the airlines, I've gotta give them a listing of all of us, and that has to match your passport when you get on, because that's what, it's like when you book an airline ticket domestically, you wanna make sure it matches your driver's license, you just wanna make sure it matches your passport. And then, if you want to, our airline is United. If you have a status with them, you will be able to, at check-in, upgrade I think they have the little bit more legroom, or you can pay to upgrade to the little bit more legroom. Some people did that last year. They at check-in, they wanted to upgrade it to the more legroom, and so that just costs a little bit more if you don't have a status with United.
Excuse me,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I've got to go to a funeral, in about an hour, so I'm gonna have to leave. Tony's gonna turn everything out. To be the last one out to,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
So,
sure he's.
yeah, I talked to him, so I think it's fine. If you can go out the back way, if you park over here, out the back way, appreciate it, because everything's kind of locked up.
Okay. sounds
Hey,
good.
hope
Thank
you,
you.
hope you can only come. Great trip. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I know, it's exciting. So I think
Take
that's,
care, guys.
I think that's it on the application. Like I said, you need one per person, because we need all your info for each person, who you're gonna room with, if you're gonna room, if you're not gonna room with somebody. Did you have a single room last time, or did you room with somebody?
I left it TBD.
Okay.
I told Shiana she was gonna be my roommate. My daughter told me who was gonna be my roommate before she even booked the trip, which was just such a blessing. But, so I left it as TBD,
Okay,
because I was waiting for her to decide,
okay.
which is,
And if you're single
but,
in this room or online and you don't have a roommate, we will try to get you a roommate. I can't 100% guarantee I can get you a roommate. So then you'll have to make that decision at that time. Do I want to spend the extra $900 to go?
and Elaine was a single
Elaine
the last
and
time.
Diane, I think one was a
Yeah,
single too.
because she had some challenges when she sleeps. So,
Yeah.
but we went to a conference and shared a room, so she knows she doesn't have to do that anymore.
Any other questions though
Um,
before we begin?
We want to extend our trip, like I'm thinking to maybe add Greece to it. Should I talk to you?
Yes, you could talk to me, because we would probably do your airfare separate, or we could maybe do there's a couple. You can't do many that can kind of alleviate from the plan, but we would maybe have to do your airfare separate. So we would just maybe have to take off the cost of the air, and then, so we'll figure that out.
It's a discussion Elaine and I were having.
So she can-
What's that?
She's an incredible travel agent.
Yeah, I mean, we can try and help you through that, yep.
Is dress all casual, like shorts and jeans, or should you
Yeah.
bring something that,
A lot, and we'll go into this more in the
Okay.
meeting after everybody signs up, and we'll tell you more
Okay.
specifics what to wear.
Sure.
But a lot of the men wear those, what do you call it?
Cargo pants was a,
The
Cargo
you could
shorts.
zip up.
cargo shorts?
Yeah.
Zip
Because
up?
there are places
Zip up.
your legs will have to be covered as well, and so you wear
Really?
these pants that you zip
Yes.
off.
Knees up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
so-
we'll go into that.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So, or for
What about
ladies,
clothes?
have a wrap skirt,
No,
that's,
they should be.
you know,
You have to wear
long.
closed shoes?
Your,
No, just
your
your
sleeves
arms,
gotta
your
be covered
shoulders,
too,
your
right?
knees.
Your arms gotta be covered.
Yeah.
So you bring a shawl or a jacket, and that's the part of the modesty kit. So you throw it in your backpack, and they'll tell you, hey, you're gonna, at this stop, you quick put it on.
So, if you sign up at the orientation meeting, and if you sign up and you're not in town, we will get you into the orientation meeting, like through Zoom or something. But if you sign up, then we'll go through like all those specifics about what you need to bring in your modesty kit and all that good stuff.
Now, for those who haven't been before, when we went in 17, we had a wonderful book
Yes,
to
well,
ready in
Yes.
advance. And so they're gonna do it
Where's
again,
that
but
at?
to help you be introduced to the places that you're going. And it has the rest of the country in it, but you get the cultural as well as the biblical awareness. So you can read it before the trip, and then it's great to look at the night before just to refresh yourself about what you're going to see. And it causes your mind to be more inquisitive and aware.
Can you get that at Barnes and Nobles?
No, we'll order them for you.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we'll get
That's
them
a-
to you at that meeting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. Anybody else?
You're gonna hand those out now?
The applications?
Yeah.
Yes, I will.
I can't even tell you guys what a life-changing trip this is. You will never read the Bible the same again. And somebody asked if we're, if this money, I just want to reiterate that, no, the last time we took a trip, we lost money. The ministry, Snowdrop, lost money on it because we just try to give you the best price possible. And so trust me here that really is, it's coming to you with, she has searched it out. I don't think you could beat it. But it'll be a life-changing trip for you. It is exhausting. You'll be tired when you come back, but it is a life-changing trip.
So start practicing your walking now with good walking shoes. Get your tennis shoes out or whatever, but now's the time to start walking your neighborhoods or go to Lapham Park, somewhere where you actually are doing a little bit of climbing, because not every place we go is the trail. Yes.
And you're
Thank
not,
you.
one other thing, you're not required to truck up a hill. If you feel like it's too much for you, you can stay at the bottom and wait for the group. Nobody ever puts this pressure on you that you have to go.
Mhm.
I mean, people put the pressure on themselves, I think. And so if there's a site where you're like, this is too much, it's
Stay on
okay.
the bus.
Nobody's gonna make you feel condemned or shame. You just wanna be there and experience what you experience, So we're gonna hang up now from here, but if you have any questions, you can contact me at lesshook3@gmail.com.